Removing the SSD from a Surface Pro 3 is not an easy task. You can either split the frame and risk breaking the glass, or you can cut a hole where the hard drive is and remove it through the back cover. Using the instructions from this URL at the bottom, I then took an awl and scribed a rectangle where I had previously drawn with a Sharpie. Then using a straight edge, ground it in so I would have an outline to follow. I then took a paint scraper that had carbide tips and used the corners to keep gouging the area until it became loose, or rather you could see daylight through the cracks. At that point, you need to be very careful so that you don't punch through. Take a small screwdriver and pry up until you can see underneath, and at the upper right corner there will be a screw that mounts a hard drive, as well as another at the bottom right corner. The one at the bottom right corner you can work around and keeping the aluminum part as small as possible. The hard drive slips in as shown here, and there is not a lot of extra space, but on the right side where the red bar is the edge of the battery, so you don't want to work into the battery as some people may have done by using a drill. Scraping it through with a carbide tip seems to work pretty well. I ordered a replacement SSD from eBay for $28, and if that's successful, I've had a good repair and I'll get more life from my Surface Pro. If not, it will be time to upgrade. So I can go one of two ways. One is to split the case, risking breaking the glass, and the other is to cut a hole in the rear cover, risking damaging the components. Using the dimensions from the site at the bottom of the previous frame, I marked it out with a Sharpie and used a scribe in a rectangular form where the hard drive should be. I then used a steel ruler to grind in with the point, so I had a path to follow with my carbide tip scraper. I laid the scraper along the lines and used the rule to keep me within the square and work the material out of the case until I could lift it up and then bend it back and forth until it broke. Now at the top you see a screw that has to be ground off because it mounts the hard drive. There's also one at the bottom right, but you can work around that when you cut through because you cannot access the head from that side. The hard drive slips in like you see here in the approximate position, and on the right side you can see the line where the battery is. So you need to be careful when you're cutting it out that you don't go into the battery. People using a drill may have more of a possibility of doing that. This is the part number, and I have ordered one off of eBay for $28, and we'll see if that takes care of the problem. If not, then it's time for a new tablet of some type, probably not the Surface Pro.